All right, perfect. So thank you everybody for joining us for How to Crush a Virtual Career Fair. This content is going to be brought to you by Insight Global. So for anybody that was in attendance at the first C10 that we did last month, you remember Bridget, she came and dropped knowledge on us about her company and their diversity initiatives. So she's back to present this workshop for you all. I think it's perfect timing because if you are aware, or even if you're not, now you know the CODC has a ton of career fair opportunities coming up for you all for this month. So the one that's happening this week, which is this event is a precursor to, is the Diversity First Fair, which is going to be held Wednesday. You can still register for that fair, so feel encouraged and empowered to register for that career fair. This fair is going to feature a ton of employers. I think we have about 30 plus employers that will be participating who we personally screened, who we find are what I consider to be diversity centered. So if you are passionate about finding a job or with a company that will support you as the entire individual, these companies participating in this fair are ones in which you could feel a lot more at home of being yourself and bringing your authentic self to work. So you can still register for that. You must register and you must create your schedule of engagement. If you're a little nervous about this, hopefully this presentation will help you get over those jitters. But if not, you can either engage in a one-on-one meeting or you can engage in a 30-minute group meeting, which will allow you to kind of hide behind others, get some good information about some companies maybe you've never even heard of. And then if you choose to, from there, take it a step further, you could totally do that and have a one-on-one meeting or engage with these individuals at the next career fair. All right. Some other events while I have you, this is a great time just to plug everything that I'm doing personally. And we have others outside of the ones that I'm personally putting on. So be sure to check the CODC's calendar and Handshake. We have a lot going on. But I do drop-ins every Friday on, well, excuse me, the second, third, and fourth Friday of every month. So feel free to pass through Zoom and do a quick 10-minute appointment with me if you don't have a lot of time, but you need a question answered. Catch me on Zoom. I'll be there. I'll be there this Friday from 10 to 12. And then we have our next C10 event. So if you missed that, you should come this month on October 14th from 4 to 5 p.m. We're going to have Teach for America, Peace Corps, and City Year, who are all really great 2-year programs to do. So if you're a student, you're like, I do not want to be an adult quite yet. I need a couple more years to figure it out. I was that adult. I went back to grad school for 2 years. If that's not your ministry and you prefer to work and maybe do some service, you should check these programs out. All right. And they have some really great benefits. And if grad school is your route, a lot of them have really connects to some really great prominent programs that once you say I was a part of this AmeriCorps type of program, you can transition into grad school relatively easy. And then we have another one coming up in November, which the closer we get to that, I'll remind you of that one. And then we have another alumni panel in November, which will feature people that graduated from Ohio University but live out of state. I know a lot of our graduates stay in state. We love that about you all. But I'm going to also push you all to dip your toe into other cities' waters because you don't know what's out there until you get out there. So that alumni panel in November will feature some out-of-state Bobcats who took that first job out of state and actually loved it. Whether they returned to Ohio or not, they got out there. So these are some events that we have. They're all on Handshake. You can register for them. You can join at any time. Everything is virtual, and we are doing a great job of recording. So if you do miss it, you can find the recording on the CODC's YouTube page. But with all that being said, I'm going to pass the mic over to our special guest tonight, Bridget. She's going to bring you these handy dandy tips to how to conquer a virtual career fair, since we'll be doing a lot of them this whole year, to be honest with you all, this whole school year. So take it away, Bridget.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tamika. I'm really excited to obviously chat with you guys. I've done a good amount of the career fairs on my end here in the last, I want to say, month and a half. I've done about 6 of them. So I have done all the trial and error, and I hope that these tips are helpful because I know it's new waters for everyone. And I, like you said, Tamika, I do think it's going to be for the next round of career fairs as well. So we'll go ahead and click through here. So I just click, I've never done it on this one, so I'll just click this, Tamika. Perfect. Okay.
On you. That's a rookie mistake. So does it say request control on your end? Does it say? Yep, click that.
Okay, perfect. All right, cool. Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate everyone's time. I'm glad that you're able to record this, Tamika, if it is helpful to use in the future. But again, my name is Bridget Dickerson with Insight Global. We're here to kind of just chat a little bit about, how to navigate through virtual career fairs. A couple pointers. So here's my little page. That's me, my little puppy, Alfie. They were like, put a little selfie on here. Like, I don't have selfies. They're all with my dog. So I actually set up in our Cleveland, Ohio office. I went to OU myself, so love chatting with fellow Bobcats. So like Tamika said, I didn't go very far. I went to Columbus and then Cleveland, so I definitely stuck around. But I always like to just mention a couple of things about our company just so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from, a little bit about us. So we are a staffing agency based in Atlanta. Here are some of our accolades that we're really proud of, but we are one of the fastest growing staffing firms. We hire a lot of people right out of school, but we also have an internship program, right? So I kind of spoke a little bit about Insight Global the last time that I chatted with everyone, but this is just a little bit kind of like a glimpse about us and some of the fun things that are awards and accolades, which we're most proud of. Let's see here. So we have the data offices. So Tamika, I actually love that you say that people should branch out. I always tell students when you're graduating, that is the time to relocate. It's your transition into the real world or your next step. So we have offices everywhere, which I think is pretty cool too. All right, so to kind of get right into it. So why to attend the virtual career fair? I think what I've been talking to a lot of students, whether they were sophomores, juniors, seniors, maybe even freshmen. And I think a lot of times, during this virtual time, we can kind of glaze over some of the opportunities to chat with companies. I know on my side, right, we can kind of get lazy in the virtual setting, right? So we have to really take advantage of this time to do as much as possible, right? So why to attend, right? So think about it like this. You really want to kind of realize that this could be kind of how a lot of companies are turning their gears is going a lot virtually, right? So really take the chance now when you're still in school to learn how to communicate virtually. Obviously, going to the career fairs, whether they are virtual or in person, you are provided with unlimited job opportunities, right? There is not going to be one company there that turns you away. They will talk to you. You will be able to make important connections with top employers. I chat with people all the time who I've been talking to for the last 3 years. They come back, they're like, Bridget, remember me, and so that's what's really cool about just building those relationships. And what's cool too about the OU career fairs, I feel like too, you're always, the companies are sometimes at the same booth, same locations, so it's easy to navigate. And then obviously, again, to just land a job or an internship, right? That's mostly why you all go to a career fair. And again, obviously in the virtual setting, you want to do as much as you possibly can. Alrighty, so planning and organization. So I'm sure you all realize as well, your classes are all virtual, everything's very different. Any organizations or clubs you're in are all virtual, right? So kind of getting ahead of things, even when I do these presentations, I have to get ahead of it. I have to, really plan ahead and kind of give myself what am I going to say? How am I going to, connect with people? So like Tamika was saying, you can register ahead of time on Handshake. One little tip I have for everyone, you can do the one-on-one or the group sessions, and most companies might have both. I know for us, I do 2 group sessions and then about like 12 to 15 one-on-ones, however many fit within the time slot. My tip for you is to sign up for a one-on-one along with the group presentation. Reason being, that's about 30 minutes during the group session that, employers are going to have their whole spiel set out for you. Those one-on-one sessions are 10 minutes. It is so tough to hear our spiel, for us to kind of get to know you. So I always say, when I am doing my outreach for people, attend both if you can, because you'll get more out of your day. And that goes for all companies. So if they have both options. Look through Handshake to find out what companies will be there. Handshake is awesome. Handshake was not around when I was in college, so the fact that they have this platform is phenomenal. You guys get the chance to give yourself an hour, a week before the career fair after you register and really dive deep into these companies. Again, don't dismiss any companies. You might talk to them and be like, wait, that is interesting. That's how I met Insight Global. I was an English major at OU, so the fact that I went the corporate world into sales and recruiting is crazy, right? Again, just doing your homework, it prepares you to obviously know what you're talking about with these companies, know a little bit about them, see some of your friends work there after they graduated and kind of see how you can connect as well. Yes, please type out your questions too, because I'll get a little notification. All right, so when it comes to your resume, I'm sure you all, especially if you're juniors or seniors, have been working on your resume. The easier the better. The format, when it's clear, it's one page. It's easier for employers to read, especially if you're doing them in person, but even virtually, right? Like I'm so old school. I print out all the resumes of everyone I'm talking to before I meet with them and write all my little notes. So obviously, the clearer the better in one page format. I really am a big fan of the objective or personal summary. So write 1 to 2 sentences about what you want, out of a career or what you think you have to add to your career. Those are the first things that employers are going to look at. And don't think that if you're writing, I'm looking for a career in marketing, that people that are looking for salespeople or other opportunities aren't going to reach out to you. You're not limiting yourself. But write that. It shows you're passionate about something. And then obviously your education is just going to show your major, your minor. I know that when we're searching, our eyes kind of connect the dots, and those are some of the main things that we focus on. And with that continued, your work experience. So what I love hiring about OU for me, and again, I'm probably a little bit biased, but OU does such a great job of getting people involved on campus. Whether you're in 5 clubs, one that's really, important to you and you're passionate about, really show those on your resumes. I want you guys to bold them, write paragraphs. Why are they special to you? And then obviously relevant skills and experiences, languages, technologies. Again, it matters if you're going, maybe you're going into accounting or some type of technical field. Really emphasize on those things and edit. I'm telling you, I am 30. My sister's 32. I still edit her papers and everything she ever does. We constantly do that because you never know. You could have looked at something 20 times and go back and realize that you missed something. Some companies will literally, set aside your resume and their no-pal if you do make edit or if you don't edit it and there are errors. We won't, but I know that some people are very, very serious about that. All right, so LinkedIn, another huge thing that I think in the past 4 years, students have been really taking advantage of. Spend a lot of time on this. I coming from an employer perspective, this is what we really use. And especially during a virtual time, we are going to look at your LinkedIns. We are going to message you on LinkedIn. So a couple of pointers too, how to use your LinkedIn. If I'm messaging you as an employer, it's going to go to your email, right? So make sure to check your junk email or turn LinkedIn notifications off in your junk email. But this is really how I know most employers are going to really be reaching out to people during the virtual time when we can't come on campus. So make sure you have a professional profile picture, something, simple, professionally dressed. You can probably figure out what, and I know they do a lot of the headshots or at the career fairs, they'll offer that for you guys. The background photo. So, I know a lot of people put OU's on college green, a picture or, something, maybe a city that you want to live in, things like that. Again, a headline that kind of goes to what I was saying about your resume. Give a little bit of pump yourself up in this, right? With your headline and your summary, really kind of say what you're doing on campus, what you're excited about. You could even put your hobbies and things like that. This is going to be a way for someone to really wait a second. All right, Tamika is very interesting. I want to continue to talk to her. So really beef those parts of your LinkedIn profile up. So experience. A lot of times I think we just use LinkedIn to, put, okay, Bridget, Insight Global recruiter, right? Really put a lot of detail into your job experience. When I was at OU, I worked at Alden in the digital archives, and I beefed that up. Like, I had my boss help me write up a huge paragraph. No matter what you're doing, even if you're doing something and you're in charge of apparel for an organization on campus, write that, right? What you learned in those experiences. Education, obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. Skills, and then recommendations. So I don't know if you guys really look at this future, employers will. Even if you want your professors or people that are managing you on campus jobs, or even Tamika, right? She can go in and recommend you. She can, put that you're good at, analytical skills or marketing or whatever it is, and really use your network to pump you up, I guess, on LinkedIn, right? It's almost as recommendations or references, which employers will ask for. And you can even allude to that when I'm saying, hey, like, do you have references? Like, yes, here's my list, but also take a look at my LinkedIn. There's a lot of really cool things that my past employers and professors have written about me. Again, this is another way. It's your profile. It's what people are going to be using in this virtual setting. So be sure to focus on that as well. Okay, so before the virtual career fair, your obviously your pitch, right? And I'm kind of like iffy on pitches. I know that a lot of times people, professors and interview classes and things like that really want you to focus on your elevator pitch, right? The one thing that you want to focus on, especially virtually, is that it isn't super robotic, right? You're going to get 10 minutes to talk to an employer via handshake or if they're using their platform. So you need to connect right away, right? So asking about, where they're from, the weather, and we small talk really quick. Some companies might go straight into business and asking you questions, but really, even practice the small talk. If it's you want to focus on what the weather is like, if you want to talk about sports or whatever, however you want to connect with these people, practice it. How will you introduce yourself, right? Now, again, you don't want to just pop onto the screen and be like, hi, my name is Bridget Dickerson. I'm an English major. I'm a senior here. I'm graduating in May, right? Like, really kind of connect, make it flow. Because again, I'm telling you, the virtual setting is different than a lot of things that you will ever experience. So smile and really kind of connect, but practice it, right? Let them know what you're looking for right away. Like, let them know your year, when you're graduating. Are you looking for internships? Are you looking for full-time jobs after graduation? Or maybe you're just a freshman who's wanting to get their feet wet and really start figuring out what type of companies and careers are out there. And then obviously to be able to sell yourself and your skills and strengths. I think this kind of comes through conversation, maybe not necessarily using it in your pitch. But again, practice this and get a good flow for yourself. And then test your technology. This is so key. When it comes to, I believe that you can log on. Obviously it matters how you set your day up, I guess, right? So if you just have 2 companies you're talking to, go just log on to those. But if it's one after another, you really want to make sure your camera is good. I think Handshake and a lot of schools have figured out the glitches that were happening, but make sure your camera's working, make sure your Wi-Fi is good. Make sure you tell your roommates that to not come knocking on your door or being loud because they're done with classes, right? So practice all that stuff. And my one key that I keep telling everyone, don't use your AirPods. I know a lot of people use MacBooks, but make sure that you're not using any type of headphones that will mess with your connection, your Wi-Fi, and employers won't be able to hear you. So by the time you get connected and figure it out, you only have 5 more minutes left in your conversation. So make sure you're figuring all this stuff out ahead of time and don't use headphones. Okay, so during the virtual career fair, it's kind of the same as, if you were in person. But again, what I suggest is having a notebook, right? And so you already know who you're talking to. So write a couple questions for each employer and each company and leave a section for your notes when you're talking to them, right? So really kind of figure those things out ahead of time. These are kind of things that I already touched on. Obviously, first impressions are everything. Be ready to put yourself out there, smile. You might feel like you're being crazy when it comes to how smiley you are, or if you're using your hands. But again, you have to kind of go a little, maybe at 110, then if you were going to be 100%, Obviously, when you're in person, virtually is different. So smile, be super connected to them, and really, obviously bring your personality. Make it conversational. Keep in mind, we're probably talking to 20 or more people. So if I see your face and you're smiling and you're ready to just kind of like have a conversation with me, it makes the conversation flow. It makes the employer really want to kind of talk to you and connect with you as well and ask questions. Like I said, that kind of goes to preparing beforehand. Write down maybe 2 to 3 questions beforehand, and make them kind of specific, or maybe use the same question that for each company. Like, what are you guys doing during COVID? Maybe it's one thing that's really important to you to ask each company, but make sure to write those down ahead of time, and then wrap it up, right? So you want to end it and make a lasting impression. Most likely you're going to be, realizing, okay, the 10 minutes is up. Maybe the employer jokes and like, our 10 minutes is almost up here. Thank them. Obviously, let's ask them how you can follow up. If they can give, you their contact information, when will you hear from them? Don't be afraid to ask those questions. These are just I guess, examples of some professional dress. Again, you obviously want to dress the part. I have my t-shirt. I'm usually wearing, I guess, business professional, but I did a group chat for my team today. But again, make sure that you're dressing for the job that you want. Okay, so after the virtual career fair, again, things are virtual. So it's not like you get to say bye to them at the career fair. We're not able to sit down with you and do campus interviews the day after the career fair or chat in person. So make sure to send a follow-up email. And then again, in that email, ask about potential steps. So make sure that you write that down, have like a checklist for each company and say, okay, I already sent, Bridget Insight Global a follow-up and asking for, next steps. And if, again, like I'm huge when it comes to to-do lists and checklists. So make sure you're keeping track of communications with all these companies. You don't want something to fall through the cracks. Again, because it's all virtual. Connect and follow up on LinkedIn. So again, I'm huge when it comes to LinkedIn. That's how we are going to be able to talk to people virtually, connect, chat with them. So connect with the specific person you spoke to, and then follow that company so you'll get their updates. You obviously want to stay connected. Again, even if you're a freshman or sophomore, connect with that person. Most likely, like me, I'm the one that's been going to OU consistently here for the last couple years. Organization, like I mentioned, rank the companies from your favorite to least favorite. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to keep track of these types of things. Create an Excel doc to keep track of all the companies you met with, and then save all descriptions and notes together. Again, this is just going to keep you really obviously organized, and obviously it's going to really help you follow up with these companies. If they're not getting back to you, follow up with them again. There's nothing wrong with that. So make sure to stay organized. Again, virtual is crazy. You're not having specific business cards or pamphlets. I have a virtual pamphlet that I'm sending to people, but people aren't, having those big folders at the career fairs with everyone's contact information. So make sure to stay organized as best you can. And that's all I have. I hope I didn't go too fast, but I definitely wanted to leave a couple minutes for you guys to be able to ask me any questions or anything that I can help out with.
Absolutely. So if you have questions, feel free to come off mute and ask, or if you feel more comfortable using the chat, feel free to type.
I know a lot of it is obviously really self-explanatory when it comes to this stuff, but if you guys have any things that I've seen work well for people or not work well for people, looks like people might be typing some questions, but
I have like one question. How much does like experience matter? Like does 1 year experience matter over someone that's never like worked before? Like, do they just focus on like you? I don't know if that makes sense.
no, that does make sense. I think it just matters what the company is looking for, you know? For us, I always tell people, thank goodness Insight Global took a chance on me, because at OU, I didn't have any crazy work experience or internships. So for us, I can only really speak about Insight Global, but I do believe most companies, unless you're looking to get into a specific field like engineering or accounting or things like that, it's all about you, right? How can you speak about yourself? What can you bring the company, right? So, again, you're just graduating from college, so you're not going to have this crazy amount of experience. And I think companies are really going to understand that. I always say if someone has a bunch of, involvement on campus, that is just as important to me as having, 3 internships.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
And
so what?
Oh, sorry. Can I add something to that? So still apply. I think I just got off a session with a student today who got caught because she read the preferred qualifications, and the word preferred was the word where these qualifications were. So meaning what they ideally want in a candidate. And she immediately got caught at PhD, and she stopped reading, and it said PhD or master's further down. So a lot of times, especially if you all have ever heard of the AAUW, they do a Start Smart salary negotiation website. And it's been found that women will not apply for a job based on them not having one of the preferred qualifications met, such as 1 to 2 years, right? So if it says 1 to 2 years and you have one of those 2 years, you qualify and you should apply. So don't always get caught up in that list of qualifications. A lot of those are suggestive, right? And I think Bridget might be able to agree. People want people that are teachable. Nobody wants an expert, because if you're an expert, you're going to be hard to work with. Nobody's going to be able to tell you anything. You can't accept feedback. You think you know it all, and a lot of entry level jobs are not for know-it-alls. It's for people that are willing to be taught. So know how to sell yourself, and don't focus on what you don't have, which is advice we got from a couple employers this summer. Was they said in interviews, students are spending so much time focusing on what they don't have. Well, I haven't had an internship. Well, I haven't had 2 years of experience. Well, I'm graduating in 7 years, instead of just selling what they have. Like, I'm graduating, I have been able to work and hold full-time employment with working in Baker University Center, instead of focusing on what they don't have. So don't always get caught up in the qualifications, and let the company decide whether they think you're a great candidate. Don't decide for them, because you might be surprised. They might just want the person that's teachable and that's a team player.
That's 100% true. I always tell people, we'd much rather have someone who's coachable, who can implement feedback, than someone who comes to me and has 3 years of sales experience. So I completely agree with that. So it looks, okay, what things should we say about ourselves to come off as more human? That's a great question, because you're right. Like, it's kind of crazy to just come and talk to someone, and, you don't want to be super robotic, but you don't want to be too lax. I always say, and if anyone ever talks to me, you'll realize I always talk about the weather. I always talk about, maybe sports, even if like I'm not huge into like NFL or something like that, just kind of like chat with them, ask them what they did this weekend, or are going to be doing this weekend, or what they did this past weekend. Be super conscious of things that have been going on, So I always say, for example, I'd be like, hey, it's so cold up here in Cleveland. What happened to fall? It's already 50 degrees out. So don't be afraid to smile. It's going to show that you are human, right? And that you're someone that they would want to be around if they were to hire you. I think that that's a good question. All right, here. So some sample questions, and Tamika, I can send you this too if you want to send out to people, because I have some sample questions that I always tell students to ask. Again, like, you don't almost want to be interviewing these companies as much as they're interviewing you, right? So you want to know what they can offer you? So when it comes to that, ask questions about, how do they have training scheduled? You really want to know how they're going to develop you and train you. Ask things like, what have they been doing during COVID, right? Are they a company that's really found a way to keep a lot of their employees and grow, right? Or have they had some hardships with that? I would ask them, what is a progression for promotion? I know a lot of times we're afraid to ask those things. We're afraid to ask about salary. We're afraid to ask, how does commission or certain things like that work? But you really need to know, if you were to get the job the next day, you want to get all of those questions answered. So again, like Tamika, I can send you some sample questions that you can send out to people too, that I always send all of my candidates when they interview with us internally. Okay, so I'm an international student. On one-on-one session or information session, could I ask that whether the company accepts? Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's best for you to ask right away. A lot of times you will see, though, in Handshake, the employers can make a note of that already. So you don't even have to chat with someone that might not, sponsor. So, but 100% ask that. I think that you don't want to waste your time, right? So definitely don't be afraid to ask that right away. And then, yeah, Tamika, I guess you were saying obviously meet 40. Yeah, I agree with you, Tamika, because guess what? Like, someone who thinks they're only 40% fit for that job, apply to everything. What's it going to hurt? A company might say, no, you're not qualified. No, you're not qualified. But if you're not applying to any of those jobs, you're not going to get any of those chances at all. So I completely agree with you. Awesome. Any other questions? I would love for you guys all, you can add me on LinkedIn, follow Insight Global, but more importantly, add me. Feel free to message me, email me, with any questions you have. Like, seriously, even if you're not interested in Insight Global, I definitely look at OU and Bobcats as, people I want to take care of. And as an employer, I would tell it to any school. So
I actually do have a really good question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Another person's going.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so like I know this is like for like this is like I know like this like virtual thing. I'm pretty sure it's I don't know, but like when you're in person, like when we come back in person, right?
Yeah.
Like when we see like people like whether it's cafeteria or like the library, like they're saying like, okay, we can now start hiring people. Like,
Yeah.
how do you like interview like in person? I guess if that makes sense. Like if it's just for like
Yeah.
a campus job, how do you start interviewing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say it's all the same types of things, right? Now, when it comes to in person, again, it's that confidence that even like Tamika was saying, if you're only 40% think that that have, I guess, the 40% criteria that the job's looking for, definitely bring that confidence that you have 100% of what they're looking for. A lot of the things that I went over today are just the same in person, if it's in Baker or wherever the career fair might be taking place, or if that company's, doing interviews after the career fair when it's more one-on-one on campus. Do all the same things like I said today, right? Do your research, organize these companies, ask a lot of really good questions. Again, I can follow up with some sample questions and things like that. And then have fun with it, be yourself, again, it will make employers want to chat with you again if you're, super likable and you're someone who isn't robotic and they can connect with. So again, a lot of these things can apply in person when everything does go back to normal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and always keep a stack of thank you cards ready to go. Handwritten thank you cards go a long way if you're interviewing in person. I even kind of pre-write a couple of them and leave a spot blank so I can put in a specific detail. Thank you for answering my question about campus. Well, clearly I work in higher ed, but in campus, that was extremely helpful, but I have like a pre-script and just leave a specialty line. But handwritten cards go a long way because it's more thought provoking and they're actually hard to write without scratching out. I went through 2 packs before just trying to get correct. So keep a stack of thank you cards on deck and even be ready to give those out. I've walked out the building, filled them out in my car, walked back in and dropped them off to the desk person to give to the committee. So
that's an awesome point, Tamika. And because I in my office, my desk, I have, all the thank you cards that people have given me. So it's another way for a company to remember you and make you really stick out. Oh, okay. So when it comes to like applying, I know a lot of companies, for us, we post our jobs and our internship opportunities on LinkedIn, on Handshake, and our website. So I think, Tamika, you were talking about this last time, but some companies will, not use other platforms because they do cost money. I think we were talking about that. And so always check the company's website. And if you literally want to apply all 3 ways, do that, right? Apply on Handshake, on LinkedIn, and on the company's website. Okay, then things you look for in an ideal candidate. So like I was mentioning, I really just briefly, mentioned obviously what we do and we hire for account managers. So we are hiring for more sales focused, jobs, right? So what I look for in a candidate, like I was mentioning, when it comes to your resume and your LinkedIn, it's your involvement on campus. If obviously you're a full-time student, right, which is a full-time job in itself, but if you are managing to, go to different chapters, different clubs and events, it just shows that you're well-rounded. So, really beef your resume up when it comes to that. An ideal candidate as well, like I mentioned earlier, someone who is easy to connect with. And that's going to help you in any job, right? Whether you want to go into sales, whether you want to go into, engineering or accounting or, something super focused in technology. I'm telling you, if there's a candidate who is super outgoing and energetic, someone who, would add to the company's culture, and then someone who's just as qualified as them, but, was kind of standoffish, not necessarily, as connectable, the company's going to go with the person who's easy to connect with and who can build a relationship right away. So I think, again, having that confidence in yourself is going to make you stand out and be that ideal candidate. These are good questions. Perfect. Anything else? And again, if you guys have any questions, like I mentioned, definitely just add me on LinkedIn and use me as a resource for any questions that you have, whether it's about us specifically, how to do this virtual thing, how to interview when we are back in person, everything's back to normal, anything at all. Definitely use me as a resource.
I think we have one more that's being typed.
The dots.
Love the dots, yeah.
I'm sorry, could I ask one more question?
Of course.
Yeah, so as I know, like for the recruiter, they have a campus recruiter and for the professional professional position recruiter. So could I know, do you have different focus skill? For example, for campus recruiter, they more focus on your volunteer activity in campus, and for experience, like for professionals, they maybe more focused on your work experience. Do they have different?
Great question. So how we're set up specifically is we start everyone out in that entry-level recruiter role. From there, you can be an account manager or a professional recruiter. So no, we don't necessarily, pair you up, I guess, a certain way to a certain experience. Again, we're going to hire you because we think you're going to be a great asset to the company, no matter what, and we'll obviously help you be successful in any way that we can. So yeah, that's how I think that if I'm answering your question right, but yeah, we start you out as a recruiter, but then you have that opportunity to go the professional recruiter route or the account manager route.
Also, if I apply the position from the Handshake for the student program, that means my resume will go to campus recruiter. And if I apply the professional position, they will go to the professional recruiter.
No, so no matter, the only job that we have posted is the recruiter role. Okay, so no matter what you're in, I started out as a recruiter, and every role in our company, everyone starts out in that entry level recruiter role. So any job posting that you'll see for us, whether it is LinkedIn, Handshake, or on our website, you will be applying for the entry level recruiter role.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, so we are hiring in all of our offices, especially for people graduating in 2021 and internships. So all of our offices, we are actively hiring right now. This is kind of when we start the process and moving forward and building out those summer classes. So yes, we have 3 Ohio offices, so Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. We are all actively hiring in.
And if you all have questions about the recruitment lifestyle, I recruited at Ohio University in undergraduate admission. So if you want to schedule a Handshake appointment, career coaching appointment with myself, where we could talk about the lifestyle, because it is a heck of a lifestyle to be a recruiter. It is not for the weak and the weary. We call ourselves road warriors. So yeah, if you want insight to that lifestyle, feel free to book a career coaching appointment with me, and I would love to just talk through that. Of course, for corporate, it could be a lot different, but it could be very fun, especially as a young recruiter without a family or an animal, but I would love to talk through that with you all and maybe help you with articulating what skills would be beneficial for going into that recruitment lifestyle.
Sure.
Any final questions before we wrap up for the night? You all did a really great job of asking some really great questions.
Yeah, those are awesome questions.
Wait, I actually do have a question. Do you only know if they're hiring, if it's through like a website? Like, is Handshake the only way to see jobs open, like in-person type and stuff? Like, how do you know if they're hiring? Like, do you just go inside and ask? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, the thing about people going to someone's website, especially, a lot of times people don't update their job postings on their websites. HR is sometimes responsible for that, and they don't get around to updating or, and whatnot. So if there's a job posted, you definitely have to hope that obviously there is an opening then. So if you go to their website, I would obviously, bank on that there is an opening. People will post on Handshake, obviously, but Indeed and those external websites as well, like Monster and Krill Builder. But I again, like, especially because you have access to Handshake, I would really utilize that, because these employers are taking the time to update their job postings, and then you'll know for sure that they are actively hiring.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Amaria, if you actually take the time to complete your Handshake profile like you would complete your LinkedIn profile and make it available for employers to look at it, they might just find you, because they can search for you all the same way you all can search for their jobs. Mm-hmm. So just by having the most updated work history, activities and involvement, a completed picture, and having your profile viewable like you would LinkedIn, you might have a recruiter reach out to you right on Handshake. So I would definitely invest the time in completing your Handshake profile. I love it that you all use it for events. I love it that you all use it to book appointments with my office and maybe for some of your major requirements. But take time to actually complete your profile, because you might shockingly have somebody do a search and your major aligns, your GPA aligns, and your interests or what you have done on campus might align in their grand search, and they might reach out to you, say, hey, we have this perfect opportunity for you that we would like for you to apply for. So yeah, I would take the time to invest in that. I mean, but also you can just shoot somebody an email. If you build a connection with an employer like Bridget, right? Let's say somebody in HR is having a rough day, a rough month. You could also reach out to Bridget and say, hi Bridget, like I wanted to know, is your company currently hiring? I'm interested in this type of position. Back in the day, people used to pick up the phone. Nobody does that anymore. So shooting an email, a quick message on LinkedIn, a professional message, a professional email with the subject line will go a long way. Sometimes you have to just kind of shoot in the dark, and hopefully you get something back. So always go the extra mile with these things. And even if they're not hiring, they might keep you in mind for when they are hiring. Like I had this young lady reach out to me, and this individual reach out to me about a job. I want to invite this person to apply for it just because they even had the initiative to even personally email me and ask me. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. The worst is somebody could say is no, we're not hiring. But there's also national job search engines or boards. So for instance, my Black engineers, they're a part of an organization called NSBE. NSBE has a job posting board for Black engineers. So think of some of the honor societies and things that you all are a part of. Psi Chi, they should have a national job board just because of you being a member that you can utilize, or certain industries. Like higher ed uses higheredjobs.com. So check with your teachers and professors, because there might be some search engines that you can use based on your industry. Not all of them have them, but some of them do, like, I don't know, National Marketing Association. I just made that up. But if that's a thing, they might have a job board as well. So just think outside the box and keep asking questions, because you never know what you might find out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, perfect. Well, if nobody has any more questions, but follow Bridget on LinkedIn. Make sure your LinkedIn is updated before you follow her, though.
I'll test you.
Definitely add her on LinkedIn. I would like to virtually thank you and give you hand claps for dropping that knowledge on us tonight. I definitely appreciate it. I hope you all feel encouraged and empowered to attend the upcoming virtual fairs that we have. Diversity First Fair is Wednesday. The healthcare fair will be coming up the following week. And then we also have a retail merchandising fair for our Patton College individuals that's coming up as well. Well, we have a lot. Wow. That's coming up this month. We also have Work That Matters. That's coming up for my people that want nonprofit jobs. That one is coming up as well. And then grad school fair for anybody that is toiling with the thought of going to grad school. Maybe you're not ready to adult like I was. Grad school is a great cushion, especially if you can get somebody to pay for it. So check out grad school fair as well. But these will all be virtual. Now you can tackle them. And if you get scared along the way, feel free to book a career coaching appointment with myself or anybody in my office. And we would be very happy to assist you with your resume or with just preparing for these events. So have a great night. Bridget, thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Partnering with you on something else. And you all have a wonderful night.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Good night.